You must lick my bum bum every day. You came for money, not love. A story written by Christy Midnight Tales. Tessy wasn't born poor, but she wasn't rich either. She was just a simple, beautiful girl in her early 20s, living in a small apartment with peeling paint and a mattress that creaked every time she turned in bed. She worked a tiring job at a small boutique that barely paid her bills. Most nights, she would sit by the window, scrolling through Instagram, staring at influencers who flaunted designer bags and luxury vacations. She wanted that life, the soft life, the kind where you wake up in silk sheets and have maids bringing you breakfast. At the time, she had a boyfriend, Emeka, a good man, but not the type of man she wanted. Emeka was loyal, hardworking, and truly loved her. He dreamed of saving up to marry her, of building a life together, brick by brick. But Tessy was tired of bricks. She didn't want to struggle. She wanted marble floors, not cement. Emeka worked as a mechanic, often coming home with grease-stained hands. On weekends, he'd take her to small eateries because that's all he could afford. And even though he loved her deeply, Tessy's heart wasn't satisfied. She would plaster a smile on her face, pretending to appreciate his efforts, but deep inside, she felt she deserved more. Her friends didn't help. Most of them were already dating wealthy men, living in apartments paid for by their uncles, and rocking expensive wigs. Whenever Tessy complained about Emeka, they laughed. "Babe, you're too fine for this kind of suffering," her friend Anita said one day, adjusting her 30-inch wig. "Men with money are out there. Stop wasting your time with that mechanic." Tessy brushed off the comments at first, but deep down, they planted seeds of dissatisfaction. She wanted out of that life. And then came Chief. He was older than her father. His presence was intimidating, the kind of man who walked into a room and everyone fell silent. He had bodyguards that followed him everywhere, but his wealth spoke louder than words. The first time Tessy saw him was at a lounge. She and her friends had gone out to unwind, wearing tight dresses and heels that hurt their feet. The club was dimly lit, filled with music and laughter, but when Chief walked in, the atmosphere changed. He didn't say a word, but his eyes locked on Tessy's. An hour later, one of his drivers approached her with a small envelope. "Chief says you should get yourself something nice." When Tessy opened it, her breath caught. It was filled with $100 bills. She'd never held that much cash in her life. Her friends screamed, urging her to accept it, and that's how it began. Chief started sending gifts, designer handbags, perfumes, jewelry, money transfers. He paid her rent up front for 2 years, bought her a brand new phone, and even gave her money for a business she never started. Tessy was living the life she always dreamed of. Emeka noticed the changes. She stopped answering his calls, started avoiding him, and when she did pick up, she was cold and sounded harsh. "Tessy, what's going on? You don't even look at me anymore," he said, his voice breaking. "I don't want to wait 10 years for a comfortable life," Tessy snapped, standing up. "I'm sorry, but I need more than love." And just like that, she walked out of his life, leaving him heartbroken. Within months, Tessy's life transformed completely. She moved into a serviced apartment, wore clothes that cost more than her mother's entire wardrobe, and ate at restaurants she used to only see online. Chief treated her like royalty, but there were whispers about him. People said his wealth wasn't ordinary. Some claimed he'd been married 3 times, and each wife mysteriously disappeared. Others said he had ties to rituals, that his money came from something darker than business. Tessy laughed it off. "They're just jealous," she told herself. Who cared where his money came from? So when Chief proposed, she didn't hesitate. She wasn't in love, but she didn't care. She pictured herself as a rich widow someday. Her friends cheered her on. "Girl, you've made it," Anita said, clapping her hands. "Secure the bag, that man won't live forever." But on her wedding day, Tessy realized she'd made a terrible mistake. The ceremony wasn't like other weddings. It was small, private, and eerily quiet, held inside Chief's massive mansion. There were no bridesmaids, no music, no laughter, just a few elderly men in flowing robes and beads, and a priest who looked like he hadn't smiled in years. The vows began normally. She promised to love and obey her husband. But then the priest brought out a small clay pot filled with a dark, thick liquid. Tessy, the priest said, his voice deep and commanding, place your hand in this pot and swear an oath of fidelity. Swear that you will never leave or cheat on your husband. Tessy blinked. Confused. An oath. Yes, an oath, the priest said. With trembling hands, Tessy dipped her fingers into the pot. The liquid was warm and sticky. She was told to smear it on her tongue and repeat after the priest. With this oath, the priest intoned, you swear to be faithful to your husband in life and in death. Should you betray him, may your soul never know peace. Tessy's heart raced, but she repeated the words. The men in the room clapped once, just once, and the priest declared them husband and wife. No music, no celebration, just silence. Tessy thought marriage to Chief would bring her happiness, but instead, it brought her a lifetime of regret. From the very first night in his mansion, she knew something was wrong. The house was grand, with gold-plated stair rails and chandeliers that sparkled like diamonds, but it was also cold. That night, Chief barely spoke to her. He spent hours on the phone in a language she didn't understand while Tessy sat silently on the massive bed, feeling more like a stranger than a wife. The next morning, as she dressed in one of the silk robes Chief had bought her, on the dining table was a silver tray. A servant lifted the lid, revealing a molded brown smelly thing. Tessy froze, her stomach churning as she stared at it. What is this? She asked. Chief, seated at the head of the table in a white robe, didn't even look up from his phone. That is my feces. You are now my wife and you are expected to eat it every morning, he said calmly. Tessy blinked, confused. I don't understand. You want me to eat it? She hesitated, but with trembling fingers, she picked up her spoon, dipping it into the feces. The taste was metallic and bitter, and she nearly vomited. Tears filled her eyes as she forced herself to chew and swallow. Chief watched her with an unreadable expression, his cold eyes fixed on her every movement. That was her first breakfast as Chief's wife. The next day, it was the same. And the next.
And the next.
Every morning, Tessy was forced to eat a feces, while Chief sat calmly, drinking his tea. No explanation, no discussion. Just a cold stare and a single word, eat. She soon realized the feces was a ritual. Days turned into weeks, and Tessy's life became a nightmare dressed in gold. Chief controlled everything. She wasn't allowed to step out of the mansion alone, not even to buy something as simple as a bottle of water. Whenever she wanted to leave, Chief sent a driver and a bodyguard to accompany her. At first, she thought it was protection, but as time passed, she realized it was surveillance. Even money wasn't hers. Chief transferred cash into her account for her needs, but she wasn't allowed to save or have her own. Every single purchase she made had to be approved by him. She had no freedom, no independence, but to the outside world, Tessy was living a dream life. Her Instagram followers called her goals. Her friends envied her, sending her messages like, "Girl, you're lucky. Look at that mansion, those cars. Chief is treating you well." Even Anita, her closest friend, rolled her eyes whenever Tessy hinted at being unhappy. "Babe, you're in a palace," Anita said during a call. "You have chefs, maids, drivers. Stop acting like you're suffering. Do you know how many girls would kill to be in your shoes?" But Anita didn't know the truth. She didn't see Tessy eating feces every single morning. She didn't see Chief's disgusting habits, how he went 3 days without bathing, how he often left the toilet unflushed. Tessy's body started changing too. She woke up tired, her skin pale, her hair dull. Tessy wasn't a wife, she was Chief's ritual ingredient, but she was yet to find out.